Windy City Thetan watch. I know that I've been having audio trouble. I'm definitely going to have to troubleshoot this when I get home tonight. Let me see if that works. All right, Lorraine, can you hear me? I've got earbuds in, and I'm going to hand hold the phone. We just had a backfire down the street here. Yeah, I wonder if they're doing something inside to put a bunch of radio waves out. I think it will be okay because I've got the body cam on as well. All right, let me see if I can. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to take my earbuds out, but I've got to detach them. All right, now I should be on just the phone itself. Are you able to hear me now? Okay. So right now you're getting handheld, and I apologize. We've got Neno coming down the street. Anything positive to share about the church today, Neno? Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? Folks, sorry, we're having so much trouble here. Good. I'm protesting the Church of Scientology. I'm anti-human trafficking, anti-child abuse. Let's see who they're trying to send out over here. Thank you. Just had several more students come by. They understand what I'm doing. They gave me thumbs up. So, sorry we're having so much trouble with the audio. I'll troubleshoot it tonight, try and figure out why we're not able to hear all this that's going on. And hopefully you're not, I know that when I'm hand holding it, it gets kind of jittery. Yeah, 100%, they're wrong. There are no book sales today.
I'm out here with you today, man.
No book sales today, that's good. Yeah.
You're live?
Oh, we're live.
Over here.
Yeah, we're live.
All right. All right. Going to my buddy. Good guy.
Just here protecting the city.
How many viewers?
Right now, we're really low because I had to switch there. So we only got 6, but when you were here before, we had about 40 on.
We talk to him.
All right, you can give it a shot.
All right.
Yep.
My buddy, man. Good guy.
Just telling everybody it's not right. Right?
Good guy.
I appreciate that.
Good guy. I always shop for me. The other lady, they come here the morning.
Yep.
Sunday morning. Bears play. Yeah. It sucks.
It does suck.
It hurts. It
Oh,
hurts.
dropping off our kids, right?
Sex.
Children can't consent. Kids can't consent. So we've seen him so many times, right? Look, they're taking. So he's going to come back out in a minute because he just drops his kids off. It's his babysitting routine.
Right.
Yep.
It's not right. It's not right. do this to my buddy. Drop the kids off. It's not right. Sex traffickers. Sex traffickers.
Yep.
Right.
Now, if you're just joining, right, and I apologize for the audio, you would have just seen, we've seen this gentleman, he's a staff member. We see him in a staff uniform very often. We saw him on the earlier stream. He's got a flannel shirt on. I've seen the daughter several times. So he brings the daughter here several times and just drops her off on the weekends. It looks like he's also got a son who looks to be a little bit older, right? But right, kids can't consent, 100%. Kids can't consent.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey. Hey.
Nope, can't drink on. I can't even drink it on the film. All right, folks, I'm gonna head around back. I want to see what they're doing back there. I'll be right back.
Going with you.
So we would have seen, and again, I regret that we've got the handheld. I don't know what's going on with the audio. It's worked so well for so long. No idea what's causing that. We'll head around back, see what's going on there. Yeah, there's definitely something going on here today. I just don't know what it is. And again, if you're I know we've got a low count right now, and it's, this is my 12th live, so nobody's getting notifications. The only way that people are probably seeing this is if they're over on sptv.space. And by the way, folks, definitely go there for all the resources that are available. It's not just seeing who's live. There's so much other information on that site. But we're gonna go around back. This is my personal phone, and unfortunately I've got the polarized screen protector on it so that, again, they can't see things on here. So I'm struggling very much to see the chat, but I appreciate it. This morning, we saw an older, I would say somebody who's probably younger than I am come in, and I had asked her, if she was here for this human trafficking or child abuse. She said she is not a member of the church. She was only here for her grandson. Her grandson is that very tall, young, black-haired male. Right? He looks really young too, right? He looks, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. You're getting handheld right now, so I apologize for that you're getting shaky elements there. Howdy, no one. And sorry I didn't say something earlier, but I always love when you're in here. Really appreciate the support. Boy, this building is coming along quite a bit. Howdy, Pinche. We did see moments ago. We saw the male that brings his children on the weekends. I've seen the daughter several times, but today we also saw that there's a son, right? By the way, the other day I can't remember who came here after I was here, but they said, "Hey, they just put a garage in there." This garage, it's part of Columbia College. It's always been there. So this is how Columbia College executives and so on and so forth, they're able to park inside the building. These are the rear entrances to Scientology. The single door here, a lot of times they'll come out and smoke, but they'll prop that door open. This one you can see from the front door, and you can also see it from the front desk. So the Scientologists never prop this one open. They'll close it. We saw the garbage cans earlier as well, and with the garbage cans, I don't see the chain anymore, right? So what was it, back in April, Trashy V12 BMW got in here and was able to get a whole bunch of documents out of this place, right? So they were being fast and loose with people's social security numbers, with their names and addresses. You were seeing some of the Scientologists write notes about how they were struggling to work the computer systems. And about 10 days later, he went on Aaron's channel, Growing Up in Scientology, and there was an explanation of what all the documents were. And it was still 10 days after that. So 20 days after Trashy was first able to go into the dumpster, they put a lock on that. So a chain and a lock. And that chain and the lock had been on almost all summer. The chain is no longer even hanging off the side. So I don't know if the owners of the dumpster, because remember, they lease these dumpsters, and then they pay for the service to have people pick this stuff up. No idea why, but there is no chain on that anymore. And folks, I know we've been having audio trouble all day. Hopefully it's coming in a little bit cleaner right now. When I get home tonight, there might be a software update that the phone needs. I'll go ahead and see if we can resolve that. While I was at lunch, I got it powered back up to 95%. So I thought that it would come a little bit smoother this afternoon. And I've really never had trouble with that, with this microphone. I've truly enjoyed it because it was so good about isolating sound, right? It never bothered me when Scientology played their music out front. It never bothered me really when I was walking past restaurants that were playing music loud because it was well isolated. So definitely got to figure out what's going on there. I want to see if my new friend is still out there. Again, I don't think that he's intentionally being a troublemaker, but yeah, it's too risky, and he's going to either let the F-bombs fly, or he started drinking on the film, or on camera, so I definitely don't want that happening. We've been able to bring the blinds down 3 different times today, right? So what time did I get here? Maybe 10:30 this morning. We brought the blinds down. I went around looking for body routers. So I was gone for 20-25 minutes. They put the blinds back up. I came back. They brought the blinds down. I went to lunch. They put the blinds up. I came back. They put the blinds down. We can see that they've still got everything closed up. They look to be absolutely ashamed. Yeah, folks, it's make as many points of contact as possible. So you've got the Department of Justice up there. If you follow Fat Grammy, Fat Grammy has posts where she's going to help you understand where there's going to be public forums. Some of those public forums you can call into, so you just have to register the day before. And you can call into those public forums and you can state your cases then. Thanks, Christy. So Fat Grammy just published the calendar. I think the calendar might be Chicago specific, but I'm pretty sure that she's found other places. Like you've got Audit LA, and she's out there quite a bit, going to their public forums, right? And we'll see Michael there, we'll see Serge there, William Good, Jessica. Remember, as the students come by, I don't really want to, they're not here to put their lives on camera. And just to remind, like, again, my time here in Chicago is short-lived. I will be back to visit, and by visit, I mean I will be here to protest the cult of Scientology here in my hometown. But there are several other protesters here that are here very consistently. And now that the court case is kind of moving along, there are other people that can now start or return to protesting. Maybe they can't be in front of the org right now, but they can start doing lives. And you've seen that already. So you've got, I'm going to miss some, and there's no intention, no ill will behind this, right? But you've got Nance Drew. Make sure that we're supporting Nance Drew. Make sure that we're supporting Corn Free. Make sure that we're supporting Never and Nana. Juanita. Juanita's channel is always tough for me to remember. It's TE something. Hey, Lavender. I'm not willing to say where I'm going yet. I will say that it's not in close proximity to any orgs. Let's see. I'm going to miss that street. And yeah, Mike's got it right. Auditing Scientology. Z News there. I think Free Xenu is also KC. There's so many channels. It's been as high as 200, and maybe it's not 200 anymore, but there's still a great deal of channels out there that are willing to protest. Juanita, Heligear, right? And Heligear is great about also making, Heligear and Korn are really great about putting their shorts out very consistently. These are people that are dedicated to harming the activity of Scientology, right? We don't want Scientology to have free reign. We don't want them to think it's okay to be here in our city. We don't want them to think we're okay with their presence. That's all right. I'm probably making Lorraine work her butt off looking up all these channels. Hopefully you'll see me in studio more often. On the earlier show, I had a bit of a conversation with Dylan. I do want to have a conversation with Cubs champion out there. Maybe declare Dave and I can have a little bit more panel time. Still not seeing the shades up. And folks, that I'm such a big fan of Z News KC that originally Fluffer Squirrel UK, was maintaining the list of channels that it had out there, and she was just updating. I think it was really just a community post that she would keep updated with that. And then Z News kind of stepped in and put some programmatic elements behind that, so that, again, if you're a channel and you want to be listed, you want to be able to talk to Fluffer Squirrel UK, but then she has Z News go ahead and put you up there so that we can see when you're live, and then she's got code that keeps on scanning for who's live in the community. But there's also L. Ron Hubbard sources, right? Information on how to interact or interdict what Scientology is trying to do here in the city. I'm gonna run across here real quick, so you can see some of the ways to combat Scientology. Xenu.net, xenu.net. That is what's on my card. And if you ever watch Tori Magoo 44 out in California, she's been out for, I think, 24 years. Was it 2000 she came out? So she's been out for about 24 years. But the person that did that site, Andreas. Andreas. He's the one that helped her wake up. Keeping in mind, many of us do this for different reasons, right? That Tori will say that she finally realized that she was against free speech in regards to what the church was doing, and that was intolerable to her. Aaron, from growing up in Scientology, his is the breaking up of families, right? Now, when I say that he's against the breaking up of families, don't make that sound like, oh, but he's okay with child abuse and he's okay with elder abuse. He doesn't like any of them. But the thing that got him out was this breaking up of families. And it's the primary reason why he started doing content. Sorry, we're out looking for the Way to Happiness gal that was out here. Serge Del Mar, right? Child abuse. Marian Francis, child abuse. That doesn't mean that they're not also against elder abuse. That doesn't mean that they're not also against financial fraud. They're against all aspects of the church. They just had a reason for getting started. Folks, and thank you so much, Lorraine, for putting all the channels up there. Please make sure you're supporting these channels, right? And by the way, supporting just viewing the channels, right? More often than not, we're taking Captain Davy of the Fake Space Navy's money because he's advertising on all of our channels. I would also remind you, try to put like hashtag Scientology, hashtag Dianetics in all of your video names. So every time somebody looks up Scientology and Dianetics, we're coming up much more so than Scientology itself. We're down here in Prince Park. Remember, they had the farmers market here earlier today. And it looks like each of the businesses kind of made their own little scarecrow. So you've got Half Sour, Pacific Construction, Yahia, Fit Results. So again, this is how a neighborhood's supposed to react, right? All of the store owners and vendors and residents doing community type elements, right? Remember, Scientology is never going to do a community type element. They're going to ask you to come in and give them money for a book. Scientology is only interested in you buying books and you taking courses, right? I'm not seeing our friend who's out here, and again, I'm pretty sure she is out here somewhere. And sorry that I don't have the good mic on, so you're probably hearing some background noise there. Oh, there she is. This is interesting. Do you see the woman with the two dogs? That's Olga. I'm unaccustomed to Scientologists having pets, staff members having pets. I wonder if that's a way to support income. But now that we're here, let's go see how our friend is doing.
Oh, yeah. She came to a grand battle. She signed.
Hey, Laura, how you doing? As I was saying earlier, right, that Laura's got two very big reasons, right? She was abused as a child, and her father is suffering elder abuse right now. He is stuck in Scientology. So the Scientologists just went in this building. Now, we've known that they've got residences in here for quite some time. But again, it's really odd. And I'm so unaccustomed to a staff member having pets, right? The idea that I can't remember what it's called. Laura, thanks for the reminder, and your mom as well. Right? I can't remember what they term it, but if you're not investing 100% of your effort into Scientology, then you're not keeping Scientology working and you're not doing things correctly. So the idea that if you take care of a pet, you're taking energy away from Scientology, right, in regards to what's going on. So that boggled my mind when I saw her walk into that building with those dogs. She was out dog walking. And again, it might be that it's somebody else in that unit, a non-Scientologist, just put out a sign to say, hey, I need a dog walker. And that might be one of the ways that that person is making money, right? Because we know you cannot survive on the monies that Scientology pays you. We always hear about the that Scientology that a Scientology Sea Org member is making $47, $50 a week, unless things go really bad in that. A Scientology staff member makes much less than that, right? That Scientology staff members rely upon the books being sold and the courses being sold. And they're struggling here, right? The other protesters, myself, we're making it very challenging for them to sell books. We're making it very challenging for them to bring new people onto course. We're making it very challenging for people to continue with their courses. I kind of want to hang out here for just a minute. I'm going to go across the street. I want to see if that Scientologist comes back out of there, because she did have her Way to Happiness uniform on. And when I say uniform, it's right, the t-shirt and the hat, the duffel bag with Way to Happiness on it. Laura, I didn't know about your uncles, and that's, I mean, it's just a shame. One of the things that I get encouraged when Phil Jones talks about this. Phil Jones said that, right, he was younger, high school, I can't remember if it was high school or college, but he was younger. He went to an event that Scientology had put on. He was intrigued, curious about what the event was. And he came back, and then he joined. He joined. Now, what he regrets a great deal is the idea that he got his sister and his brother into it. And his sister is somebody who is an active recruiter. So there are people coming into Scientology right now because of Phil Jones's legacy, right? And by the way, I am not blaming Phil Jones here. I'm just saying the idea that when we save one person, we're saving a tree of people, right? The idea that, and I would always struggle with this early on, yeah, I stopped one person from going into the church. Well, I stopped them from going in, and then potentially their brother, their sister, their mom, their dad, their son, right? These things are important because it's infectious. Their best way to recruit is through word of mouth. And when a family member comes to you and says, hey, I'm having great success in this church, albeit that they couldn't actually tell you what that success was, they're going to be able to pull family members in, right? Sorry, folks, I raise the camera whenever there's just civilians coming by. They're not part of our cause. I don't need them to live their lives on camera as well. All right, I've been away from the org for a bit, so they might have gotten the confidence to bring their blinds up. Let's go over there and make sure that the blinds are still down.
No, not at all.
I've said this many times, and I'm sure that you're all bored of me saying it. I think it's very important that if you're anywhere near an org and you can make them look closed, right? Make them shut their doors, make them close their blinds. It's very uninviting to somebody who's curious about Scientology, right? Their thought becomes, why are they all closed up? Why are their shades down? Why are their doors closed? And sorry you're getting a jumpy camera. I'm gonna walk down the bike lane here real quick, see if I can get across. What was it? 30 minutes ago, we saw a staff member bring his 2 children into the org. We've seen this same staff member bring the girl in several times. As far back as March, he would bring his daughter up to the door and send her in, not walk her in, not bring her to, my expectation is that it's a couple, right? And that the mother is in as well, and dropping the child off with the mother so that he can go do something, right? But the idea that you just leave your child at the front door and not bring them to the other parent or bring them to another adult, it's ridiculous. Yes, Indigo, that's exactly who I'm talking about. Now, today he walked in with the children. Now, what I didn't know, I've seen the daughter several times. Today we also saw a young male. I'm gonna jump out on a limb here, right? Probably a son, taken into the org as well. I know that we were having audio trouble at the end of that last stream that I did, 20 minutes ago, but you saw what, 5 or 6 staff members come out? One of them was, 2 of them were the blinds girls, not sightless, the people who always bring down the shades. And then also we saw Izzy come out. Yeah, I understand the rationale that they think it's an adult in a small body, but that's not actually how it works, right? And again, it's their belief, so it's challenging to say that I'm gonna thwart the doctrine of shady girls. I like that. Thwart the doctrine of the Church of Scientology or the cult of Scientology, but there should be no magistrate, judge, legal entity in the world that says, yes, they're adults in small bodies, right? They are not. They're children. There's children whose childhood is being stolen from them, and the idea that they're in there, they can't consent to be in there, and they're being indoctrinated both in the church as well as at home, right? So these people, because they're adults, their parents are Scientologists, they're just always getting hammered with the lies and the falsehoods of Scientology. So you can see that they've still got everything closed up. Yeah, Pinche, that's one of those things that, it's so challenging to me. I loved my childhood. I went and played sports with my friends. We went and played hooky. We went and did pranks. We did childish things, right? And these kids are just stuck in here. I remember, again, time-wise, I'm gonna be a little bit too fluid, but there was the people that did the interview on the ranch, right? And they said, oh, we were children there and we loved it. We got to play with horses, right? And yes, it is pretty cool when you're a child playing with horses. It's not fun when you're a child mucking out stalls Mucking out stalls is a pain in the butt. It's a crap job, literally a crap job. I thought it was very funny that they said, oh, and we got to talk to the smithies, right? And while blacksmiths create horseshoes, blacksmiths do not shoe horses. Farriers shoe horses. Farriers are the ones that take care of horses' hooves in that space. So it demonstrated the ignorance and that they were just fed lines to recite for the media saying that, oh, the ranch was a beautiful place. We had a great childhood, right? I can't tell if it's a student yet or not. So children should be allowed to be children, right? And we know that children have chores in regular households, right? That's a normative thing. But to have a job as a child is wrong, right? Thank you so much, Lorraine. It is, and again, it's the normalcy. The idea that they make it your norm, that growing up, I do look like the outsider, right? I am the Antichrist. I am the criminal. And you're so indoctrinated into that anybody who's against the cult of Scientology has to be a criminal, right? It is a suppressive person. Now, we've seen an awful lot of activity here today. There was nothing this morning, right? When I first got here, there was nobody in here. You got all the emojis there, Lorraine. Great job. Yeah, when I was growing up, you could be 15 or 16, but your parents did have to agree. But I don't know if it was a written agreement or an oral agreement. And again, let's be honest, times were different at that point in time. Yeah, that's what I remember, right? That you want to go play? Go clean your room first. Go take the garbage out first. Go do the dishes first, right? Whatever those items were in your family. Which again, that's normal, and there's an element of responsibility that is being trained and taught there. Right? But to be doing the work for the cult, right? The idea that children would put together electronics, right? We think about the e-meter. Right? Children on an assembly line putting together the e-meter, right? That's a commercial process for the church. And remember, those, I don't know if it's today's dollars or those days' dollars, but $5,000 to crack, right? That is a for-profit job. That is nothing but child labor. Now, I think that today everything is offshore. No idea if it's Scientologists in China that are putting those together, but those are being put together offshore, right? Yep. Just watched some students going by realizing they're next door to Scientology. I'm going to say they're runners, so they're here for tomorrow. Well, one of them's here for tomorrow. The other one's smoking. It's really hard to run a marathon if you're a smoker. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's really hard. All right, folks, I think I'm going to start shutting down. I definitely want to get home and figure out why in the world my audio has gone so craptastic lately. For those of you that haven't heard, I'm not going to be here in Chicago for a great deal of time. Yeah, but Pinche, do you remember that when we were kids, you could go to the local grocery store and you could have a note that said, my mom said I can buy cigarettes, right? And that was enough to get you to be able to buy cigarettes when you were there? All right, I'm gonna turn the camera around. We'll chat for a little bit. Let's see. Oh, I've got big fat face. Let's see if I can do that. All right, folks, we're gonna head away from the org. Tomorrow is the marathon. I've got plenty of friends that are running that. Yeah, Indigo, definitely email me. And I'll say this, that whenever I do come back for a visit, I'll try to make sure that we put that out there. Scientology Up North, I'm uncomfortable letting Scientology know where I'm headed. I just want to show up at their doorstep one day and say, surprise, it's me again. I will tell you that, you know, it's going to happen fairly quickly. I'm probably going to have to be more of a panelist than a protester. That doesn't mean my heart's still not in this. And whenever I'm on vacation near an org, yeah, I'm going to go visit them. I will have, I have plenty of friends who are here in the city. I will probably be back fairly frequently. One of the things that I do hope to do is get back to running. And like I said, I can run right now. I just can't run a marathon. When I'm, yeah, so I'm not going to have an org next door. So that's one clue for Scientology. Find all the places where you don't have one of your 150 orgs. And that's where you're going to find me next. But have car will travel. Have airport will travel. I would love to go out and make some friends out there in California. Lavender, I will be there next September. I know that's a long ways away, but I'm going to be up there next September for about a week. Yeah, Christy, I agree. Then I want to make sure that I can still be the megahorn or the megaphone for the people that are protesting, right? I do think it's important. I do think it's important that we have lots of channels that have more than 1,000 subscribers and more than 4,000 hours. Scientology Up North, one of the things that I love, one of the first places in Europe that I ever visited was Copenhagen. And I loved being there. I didn't know enough about Scientology at that point in time. All I knew about Scientology, got some helicopters overhead. All I knew about Scientology at that point in time was that they had goofy beliefs, right? That I knew about the Wall of Fire, right? Or South Park's education of Scientology. And in my opinion, at that point in time, I didn't know about the abuses. So it was just like, well, just stupid people with stupid thoughts, right? And it's their right to have strange beliefs. Don't care, not my problem.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, right. You're the continental. I think Denmark is the continental liaisons office, or right, the continental headquarters for Europe. The other one is I have so many friends in South Africa, and many of you know that in December I will be in South Africa. I definitely want to meet up with some of the people that are down there, but South Africa has a big presence as well. And one of the advantages of South Africa is that it has such a depressed currency that many Americans, well, many people from around the world will go to South Africa to take their training because they do have Class 12 orgs in South Africa. And now you've got that idea that I'm going to be able to take my OT8 for 1/20th of the cost of what it would cost here in the States. My expectation is that Miscavige will shut that down, right? Because Miscavige doesn't care about getting more people to OT8. He cares about making more money, right? So there is no metric that Miscavige is happy about in regards to how many OT, 6, 7, 8s they have. Hey, Scientology up north, has there been any movement on the idea, can you film people yet, or you still need consent? Even to, it was odd. I thought that you guys needed consent just to talk to somebody. Is there any movement on that? South Africa will be for vacation. I only get to see I don't know why that keeps on doing that. I only get to see my family every couple of years because for those of you who don't know, South Africa is very, very far away from Illinois in the United States. It's one of the longest trips you can take. And it's one of those things where when you invest in the flight to go to South Africa, you kind of want to stay there for a little bit of time. You also need to recruit because you're going to be on an 18-hour flight one way and an 18-hour flight the other way in that space. I have never had a bad time in South Africa. Yeah, you know what I wonder, and I don't know if any of the streams have that, but is there delayed, right? Can you do delayed content on that? Or, similar to you see me when I'm out and about, I've got I'll put the camera above somebody's head, but I've got a body camera on as well, which is static recording. So later on I can edit that static recording and put that up as an edited video or a fixed video. Lady E, I will reach out. You, Greg, I think there's 2 or 3 people that are there in South Africa. I will have a little bit of time in Pretoria, Joburg. My family has a farm, so I'll spend a little bit of time out on the farm. That's out in the middle of nowhere. And then I'll be spending some time on the garden route, so the southern coast And not quite Cape Town. You know, we'll visit Cape Town, but we won't stay or spend much time in Cape Town. And folks, I want to say that if you ever get a chance to go to South Africa, jump on it. That the animals alone are just amazing to me. So, and the earlier question, am I native to South Africa? No, I'm not. My partner is. It was very funny when the very first time that we went to South Africa, we were driving along. Sorry if you can't hear me, but we were driving along and we had seen a giraffe. And I said, oh my gosh, look, there's a giraffe. And my partner said, yep, and kept driving. I was like, wait, stop. I didn't grow up with giraffes. This is interesting to me. Thanks, Lorraine. And thank you, Lavender. Oh, you know what? I had a comment on my community. Well, I put a post on my community page, a couple of weeks ago. Is there any desire for an Ask Me Anything? Now, again, I'm a never in, so I can't tell you anything about Scientology. I can only tell you the things that I know about Scientology. But you know, is that a stream that anybody wants to watch? Right? Just chatting, asking questions, answering your questions. Oh, and Scientology, I hope I kind of made myself clear that, right, the idea that while you're live, yeah, if there's somebody specific, yes, go ahead and move the camera off of them, but then also have a static recording so that you could blur them later on, but showing that you had the conversation. Folks, we're kind of down in the Central District right now. Yes, I have seen the Big Five, and I've actually seen most of the Little Five. So for those of you not aware, in South Africa, maybe it's Africa in general, but in South Africa, they have the Big Five. And what the Big Five are the most dangerous animals to hunt by foot. So I'm going to have to remember this. Leopard, elephant, Cape buffalo, I can't remember if it's hippo or rhino, but it might be both of those. Lion, thank you. And then it's either hippo or rhino, right? It's not both of them. Now, there's another interesting question that most people, it's kind of a trick question. What animal do you think kills the most people in Africa? Yeah, I told you this is kind of a trick question. And it depends on how you define animal, but mosquito. The mosquito is the most dangerous, but I will tell you that you're all right, that the hippo is incredibly dangerous, especially if you're between it and water. So if you're between where a hippo's pond, pool, puddle is, and they want to get there, they're going to get there. Yeah, it is mosquito because if we think about it, you've got malaria and then sleeping diseases. Yes. Again, it wasn't a fair question. And I'm going to say that hippo is the next, right? The second most, or let's say the largest mammal, or the most deadly mammal is 100% the hippo. One of the things that the sneakiest is the Cape buffalo, or water. I think some people call it water buffalo as well. But the Cape buffalo, if you shoot it and it doesn't die. By the way, you should always lung shoot animals if you're going to do it. But if you shoot a Cape buffalo and it doesn't die and it runs away from you, get out of the area as quickly as possible. What they'll do is they'll run away from you. They'll take a right-hand turn. Laura, I'm going to come back to that in just a second. The Cape buffalo will take a right-hand turn. They'll wait until you come past, and then they'll stalk you, and they will kill you. The Cape buffalo is just a mean-ass animal. I can't highlight questions, but Laura had kind of just mentioned the idea that I didn't grow up like that. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? The idea that their childhoods were stolen from them. That they didn't grow up playing baseball. They didn't grow up playing soccer. By the way, I didn't grow up playing soccer either. It was forbidden back in my day and age. But they didn't grow up like most people. So when they escaped, and it's so funny that you have to say we escaped Scientology. When they escaped, the things that we found normal were not normal to them, right? The idea of how a relationship works, right? Or how a group works outside of Scientology. Now, when you've got a high control group, yes, that is a group and there is something working in that space, but that's not a normal group. Most groups, and groups of any size, have cliques. They have subgroups, right? That they're not as antagonistic as you see in Scientology, right? The idea that it's a snitch culture. In a group outside of Scientology or outside of high control groups, the group is mostly trying to be helpful to each of the other members. There's not this desire to say, I can take you down, right? It's so bizarre there, right? And I'm going to say that I don't know enough, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist. There have been these back waves inside of the SPTV world, nation, anti-Scientology, however you want to group that section. And I still think there are people who are traumatized by it, and I wish we would give a little bit more grace. Now, again, I'm not overly supportive of one and not the other or anything of that nature, but I do want people to realize that they didn't have a normative, formative life. And again, I'm not trying to tell you that I'm any great being in this world, but as a non-Scientologist, I would rather give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, one of the things that, and this wasn't it's a story about Laura, but when Tori was I don't know if it was Easter or what, but Tori was confronted by the police officer or the security guard at Hollywood, and they've got the cobblestone street there in Hollywood. And Tori explaining to the officer that Laura has every right to be pissed off and to be angry at this cult because she was one of the people that put those bricks there. And whether or not she hand put those bricks there or she just had to be there because it's what a child did in the Sea Org. Mostly irrelevant because that's not normal, right? That kind of labor is not what a child should be doing. And again, you know, Tori is to me just an amazing person in regards to this, and the idea that she can be so poignant and she's articulate, and to help that officer understand the troubles and the travesties that these children went through. I've said this many times on this channel. I'm a never in. I've never been directly harmed by a Scientologist. There are people that say, oh, you don't have a dog in this fight. The idea is that when I heard about the abuses of, and again, I'm not leaving people off this list for any reason, but Laura, Miriam Francis, Aaron and his family, and the idea that parents had to make a decision, or grandparents had to make a decision of, do I want family A or do I want family B? Serge, and all of the travesties he went through as a child, right? And the idea that he hit all of the items, right? The human trafficking, the idea that he's brought from a foreign country, he doesn't have access to his documents. He's made to perform auditing on people who just are evil to their core in regards to what they want to tell a child in that space. The massage table in there, right? It was really not hard when I started hearing these stories for me to raise my hand and say, I want to stand against that too, right? And the best I can tell everybody is that I lend my voice to the former Scientologists, right? I'm not telling you a direct problem of mine. I'm telling you that what they went through is not right, and it is not hard for somebody to stand up against what they went through. Why do you guys listen to me babble like this? Today you heard me a couple of times, and again, I think it's a harsh question, and by the way, it's a false dichotomy, but great, I get to use some of my debating elements. I like a new question that I've been asking. Are you here for the human trafficking, or are you here for the child abuse? Because people want to answer questions when you give them an or question, and I've seen people struggle with that. They'll turn around and they're like, well, I'm not here for the child trafficking. Oh, so it's the human, with child abuse. Oh, so it's the human trafficking you're here for, right? Just that idea that says, do you realize that you have to make a choice and neither one of the choices is good? And I'm sorry that you have to watch the city go by over the back of my head. That is so strange. Why? Oh, I feel like an idiot. I keep on wondering why why my hand keeps on getting in the camera, and I forget that it's front facing right now. So here we're seeing the Accenture Tower. This is Ogilvy Station. So this is where the trains come in from the north and the west. I think we have a lot of articulate speakers here in the city. And by the way, we have different opinions and different styles. None great, none terrible, right? I'm not grading the styles, but I do think that it's very impressive. In the earlier stream, the idea that a Scientologist looks through that front window and sees Korn or Nance or Juanita or Heligear or Never and Nana laughing, joking, having community, right? Community is something that I don't think Scientology ever had. Yes, they have forced groups, but that's not a community. And it's got to be so puzzling to a Scientologist to look outside and see, why are those people having a good time, right? Why are those criminals out there smiling, having joyous times out there? Oh, something that, because I have been packing, I did come across some of the bull riding photos. So I will be able to put those up fairly soon. It'll probably be after the move because I just repacked that. I had I'll say, a fortunate time growing up, right? I'm an ordained minister. When I was 18, I helped build a church in Guatemala. I used to do bull riding, right? That I was one of the oldest people out there still doing bull riding when I was doing it. So I was doing bull riding well into my 30s, and you're long in the tooth if you're riding bulls at that age. I've run across the Grand Canyon and back. I've run from the Grand Canyon to Flagstaff, Arizona. When I was younger, I still love traveling by motorcycle, and I would take a couple of weeks off, and I would go through the Black Hills, and I would go through, the Powderhorn Mountains, Yosemite, Yellowstone, staying in the. I remember. So I was a tent camper. I had a motorcycle and I had my tent. Maybe every 3 days I'd stop at a hotel. But I remember I was in the Shoshone Forest, which is between Cody, Wyoming and Yellowstone. And I got off my motorcycle and I set up my tent, and the ranger came and he goes, "What are you doing?" "I'm setting up my tent." And he goes, "We have bears in here every night." I go, "Yeah." And I'll put my deodorant and my food in the bear bag. They call them bear boxes or bear bags, whether or not you hang them up high in the area. By the way, a little tip: never make sure there's never anything scented on you or in your tent when you're out in the wilderness like that. But the idea that, listen, if I get eaten by a bear, that's a legacy story that I could live with. I'm okay that I was killed by a bear. I'm okay that I was killed by a mountain lion. One of my best memories from that trip was I would get up very early. Again, when you're tent camping, it's a cold camp, so you don't have any coffee in the morning. You just kind of have to get up, fold up your tent, pack it up, and start moving. I went up into the park. Folks, I can't see what's commenting right now because I've got a lot of glare, so you're just going to have to listen to me tell stupid stories. I went up into the park, and I saw a mother grizzly bear on this hill that's above Thumb Lake. Thumb Lake is that massive lake where the Yellowstone River flows out of. And there was a mother bear up there with her 2 cubs, and she was teaching them how to hunt. And what would happen is she would let them chase her, and when they would swipe at her, she would roll over and tumble, just to educate her children. So even bears train their children better than Scientologists do to be able to survive in life. Crossing the highway now, heading into Greektown. As soon as I get to shade, I'll be able to scroll back and see all of the cool questions that I missed. Growing up, we would spend our summers basically at a campground in Michigan. We would jokingly refer to it as the Chicago Riviera. The idea that most of the blue-collar workers here in the city, they couldn't go very far away for vacation. So we would go around the bottom of the lake over to southern Michigan. And again, the other half of Chicago went to Wisconsin. So you either went to Michigan or Wisconsin. And the diving platform at our lake was like 20 feet. And while that's nothing compared to the 10-meter platform that you might see in diving, very few people have dove 20 feet. Folks, right now we're about 2.5 miles away from the Ideal Org. I have seen flyers on the ground here. So they do meander away from the organization. They'll find people on bus stops and they'll hand out the flyers. They'll hand out the flyers at the community parks. We're going to go past a larger community park, lots of children, right? If you ever go back and look at my Easter recording, the Easter recording, they put out a come see the new church that we opened up, right? And again, playing on the idea that it's a church, and most people think that, oh, a church. And especially if you're talking about Easter, they're thinking about a Christian church, right? So sure, we'll go and check out this new church. And after you get the jelly beans from the staff members, they start telling you about Dianetics and Scientology, right? So again, the deceptive practices of this organization are ridiculous. Again, I've had 27 streams today. Some of them were 32 seconds. Some of them were a little bit longer. One of the things that we're finding out here is that we want to kind of do a truth in flyers, because many of the Scientologists will hand out, like I said, the Way to Happiness, or CCHR, or Youth for Human Rights, or Drug-Free World, right? They'll hand out those flyers, but then when you come to the org, they're only going to talk about Scientology. And what we're trying to do is figure out, can we make it so that if you're handing out a flyer, you have to name the backing force of the charity, not just the charity. Because you get this charitable element and you think, oh, I want to go help this charity, CCHR, YHR, right? Whoever it is, I want to go help them. But then when you show up at the organization, you're just getting the proselytization of what is the Church of Scientology. And we want to force it so that you have to immediately bring up that you're Scientology, right? You don't get to say that, we're the Firefighters Foundation, or we're the Citizens Community on Human Rights. You see real quick? I saw the comment, dude, bull riding. And I remember early on, when I first started protesting here in Chicago, Chadwick Burke, and yes, Chadwick Burke of booptology fame or infamy, he would try to stand over the top of me. And he thought he would intimidate me. And I was like, listen, Jackalope, you stand next to a 2,000-pound bull and tell me I'm going to be afraid of you scrawny-ass guys. Sorry for the language, but it makes sense there. Just a second, let me see if I can get a... Yep, Marzi, you're right. Right. Why isn't there truth in advertising regarding the cult, right? The other one, I don't remember if anybody remembers the Lit Fest, when our young Scientology hero had commandeered the police officer, and they were standing up behind the cordoned off space by that doorway. And at that point, two large people who we just presume were Scientology private investigators, right? So these were two large men. They definitely tried to intimidate Stylata, but Stylata wasn't having any of it. She was commenting on their clothing, and I think confused the daylights out of them, like, why isn't this lady worried about us? But the large guy, he tried to stand between me and the officer, and all I did was I raised the camera up over his head, like, you idiot. And I didn't back up, right? You stand there all you want, I don't care. We did ask the police officer, right, hey, how come this guy's able to invade my space and you're taking a complaint claiming that I invaded people's spaces? I don't know if anybody remembers the red gym shoes guy, right? The red gym shoes guy was giving Nance Drew some trouble. I think I was out at dinner with my partner, and one of the mods called me and said, hey, you might want to see if you can make your way back down there. And after I got back down there, I know that, like, Mexican long hair was very worried that I was standing next to this person. And I was like, listen, I've got the body camera on. If the guy takes a shot, he takes a shot. But I don't think he will, and I can't let somebody know that I'm afraid of him, right? But I wasn't afraid of him. But I don't want to give people that kind of power. I am not telling you that this is something you should do. I'm telling you that this is something that I feel comfortable with, right? As I've said before, and Lorraine's put it up a couple of times, that how do I protest? I've written an article on it. By the way, safety first, but just because I wrote an article on it makes me no expert, and you don't have to agree with what I agree with in this space. Yeah, Nance, that's ridiculous, right? The idea that to making that implied threat of, boy, if I had my pew-pew, I would have really taken care of stuff, right? I will tell you all, you never want to be at the business end of a firearm. It is very unnerving. I think that I've spoke to this before. I used to, when I was going to college, I had to pay my own way through. So one of the ways I made money was I would load furniture at night for a moving company, a local furniture company. And when we first went to third shift, we didn't think to alert the police. So we were there at like 2:00 in the morning, and it was the first time the police had seen there was activity in that building. So they came to the building, but they snuck in because they thought we were thieves. This is funny. I don't know if you guys know what Dickies are, but typically Dickies are what a workman or a laborer would wear. It's a blue outfit, blue pants, and a blue T-shirt. And we were loading a truck, and the officer had me at pew point, and I kind of looked at him and I said, "Listen, I belong here. Can you please put the gun down? If you sneeze, I'm not going to be here anymore." Right? You really never want to be at that end of a weapon. Now, when it comes to a holstered weapon, I'm much less intimidated by that because it takes a lot. It's a big difference between having a holstered weapon and having an unholstered weapon. One of them shows that a willingness to act. The other one shows that it's sort of like, hey, I've got a McLaren, right? It's just a bravado move. Again, I'm not telling any of you to go up against people that have pew-pews. My experience has been that a person who shows you a holstered weapon is really just trying to intimidate you. They're probably unwilling to act. I'm going to back up here. Probably too late, but good night, Lady E. Scientology up north, you're absolutely correct on that. The idea of armed guards is really, again, just that intimidation factor. Remember, in Chicago, they were armed people. The Blue Star Security was armed. Now, because Blue Star Security, you had to be a retired officer or an officer off duty, but in good standing with the Chicago police. Most of it was they wanted you to have arresting power and the ability to carry a gun, the ability to carry a pew-pew, because they wanted to be able to, again, show that we're serious in regards to how we do security. One of the things that, again, whether I take credit for it or we say that the protesters in general take credit for it, we either shamed Blue Star from no longer supporting Scientology, because we have not seen Blue Star there for 4 months, maybe 5 months. So Blue Star is no longer the security arm of Scientology. Now, it could be that they were shamed away and they didn't put up with the, we were definitely showing them on YouTube and trying to get their names so that their children and their family could see that they were supporting the cult of Scientology. But it could be just the same that Scientology just couldn't afford to pay them anymore. When you're paying security at that level, it's an expensive hourly rate. If you think about it, most of them are making a minimum of $50 an hour, and some of them are going to be on overtime, so it's going to be different, even more than that. And think about it, in 1 hour, they're making more than a Sea Org member would make in a week. So imagine trying to write that invoice of, sorry, I'm going to run real quick. Now, I don't know California law, but it doesn't surprise me that they would have armed security there. The same thing in Chicago in regards to a security company. It's really hard to own a weapon in the city of Chicago, just because it's a very anti-gun city, and it's a big D in the heaviest way. So to get open carry here in Chicago or to bring a weapon inside the city limits, it's challenging. You need to know somebody, and you need to take a heck of a lot of training in order for that to happen. The thing that I find interesting about the security guards that I've seen on a lot of these anti-Scientology streams is they lie just as easily as Scientologists do, right? That the idea that the default behavior of Scientologists is lie first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and then maybe if you're pressed, go ahead and tell the truth. But it takes a lot to get a truthful statement out of a Scientologist. And the same thing with a security guard, right? And they're going to similar to, oh, you dropped one. So I just got a shady look from there's a little girl selling candy. She looks to be a migrant. And she had dropped $1. And I pointed at the dollar and said, "You dropped that." And she looked at me like I was about to kill her, or that she was about to kill me. It's a beautiful, I like this place. We're here at the Emily Hotel in West Loop, or the Fulton Market District. Kind of a boutique hotel. There's definitely something big going on here. All right, folks, I think I'm going to head onto the train. I really appreciate you sticking by, listening to the chat, watching all the commercials while I yip-yap at you. Hopefully, we had a productive day. I think that we made Scientology struggle. We made them close their blinds. I'm sure that they had trouble explaining to the people that were inside there why they were doing that, right? Other than the fact that I'm a criminal, right? So it must be that I'm the criminal, I'm the devil in that space. But let's see if we can find another, head over here real quick. See if we can find another channel. Go ahead and do a little room raid. Thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Sorry that half the time you were looking at half of my head, not all of it. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise as well. But I am ready to go take a break. Tomorrow, again, I'm going to spend more time with the marathon. Maybe tomorrow evening we'll do something in studio. Maybe I can speed play all the highlights from today. Grab the information off of the body cam where I didn't have good audio. But thanks everybody for being here. Not sure if we saw a room raid yet, or if there's anybody out there that's live. Hey MD Media, sorry I haven't mentioned your name yet, but you know I'm a big fan of MD Media. That he just really is promoting the daylight side of everybody. He's got Pasadena out there. He's out there at Pasadena, giving Pasadena a hard time. Pasadena isn't, a marquee Scientology element, but again, don't worry about if your org is big or small. Make it hard for them, right? Make them question why they're still in Scientology, right? And those are the things, right? When you hear me ask, does Scientology let you talk about Scientology? And again, I stole that from Phil Jones, and Phil Jones offered it, right? I'm often facetious when I use some of those terms, but Phil Jones said, hey, that's a question that's going to make them think, right? That, yeah, why is it that the church explicitly tells me I can't talk about the church? All right. Not sure if we, okay, you know what? I'm a big fan of Cubs. Let's head over to Cubs. If you're not aware of how to get to Cubs, just head over to sptv.space, and that'll help you get the link over there. So, folks, thank you all for being here today. It was just, I like hanging out. I really do like doing this. So, and I want to continue my protesting movement. I just have to figure out what it's going to be like when I don't live here in Chicago. So, Hope you all have a great time. Let's go over to Cubs, boost up his chats. Make sure you like, subscribe. I will see you over there. Thank you all.